The emergency alarm blared across the station as Linda Morgan rushed through the medical bay, her heart pounding against her chest as she prepared for whatever was about to come through those doors. The station commander had been brief in her announcement. Unknown vessel approaching, significant damage, prepare for casualties. Linda finished setting up the trauma beds when the doors slid open, revealing 2 security officers carrying a body between them. But this was no human body. The figure had pale, blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the harsh lights of the medical bay, and instead of hair, delicate feather-like structures framed a face with large, almond-shaped eyes. "Put her here," Linda instructed, pointing to the nearest bed she had treated aliens before during her time on other stations, but this species was new to her. Fascinating yet terrifying at the same time. The security officers gently placed the alien woman on the bed before backing away. "We found her escape pod drifting near. The outer ring looks like she was attacked by something big," the taller officer explained before they both departed, leaving Linda alone with her unusual patient. The alien woman was conscious but clearly in pain. Her large eyes, which Linda now noticed, were a deep violet color, darted around the room in panic, until they fixed on Linda. Her leg, Linda could see, was badly injured, twisted at an unnatural angle that suggested a compound fracture, even for an alien anatomy. This looked wrong. Linda approached, slowly with her hands visible, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "I'm going to help you," she said clearly, hoping her universal translator would convey her intentions. "Your leg is broken, I need to set it." The alien woman watched Linda, breathing shallow and rapid, small chirp-like sounds escaping her lips, which Linda interpreted as expressions of pain despite the obvious differences between their species. Pain was something universal, something Linda understood all too well. As Linda began to examine the injury, she realized she knew very little about this alien's biology. The skin felt smooth, almost like polished stone, yet flexible with a strange warmth to it. Linda reached for her medical scanner, hoping it would give her some insight into what she was dealing with. The scan revealed a skeletal structure not entirely unlike a human's, though the bones were denser, more crystalline in composition. The fracture was severe. The bone had splintered in 3 places, which explained the unnatural angle of the limb. Linda would need to set it soon before the damage became permanent. Linda prepared a pain medication, but hesitated, unsure if it would help or harm her patient. Taking a risk, she administered a mild human analgesic, watching carefully for any adverse reaction. When none came, she proceeded with her work. "I need to straighten your leg," Linda explained, gesturing to make her meaning clear. "This will hurt, but afterwards you will." Healthy alien woman made a series of clicking sounds before the translator finally caught up. "She understands," the machine intoned. Linda took a deep breath, steadying herself as she positioned her hands on either side of the fracture. With a steady pressure, she began to align the broken limb. The alien woman arched her back in pain, her strange feather-like head appendages flaring out in distress. Just as Linda was about to complete the alignment, the alien reached out with lightning speed, her 3-fingered hand grasping Linda's shirt, pulling her close enough that Linda could see flecks of gold swimming in those violet eyes. "Do not let go," the alien whispered through the translator, her voice sounding almost melodic, despite the electronic filter. Linda froze, surprised by both the strength in that grip and the clear, desperate plea, not understanding what the alien meant. She simply nodded. "I won't let go," she promised. What Linda didn't realize was that for this species, the Vexari physical contact during healing was sacred, a bond of trust that once established could not be broken without severe consequences, both physical and spiritual. When the alien asked Linda not to let go, she was literally entrusting her life to this human stranger. The medical bay suddenly seemed quieter, as if the universe itself was holding its breath as Linda carefully maintained her grip on the alien's leg. She could feel a strange tingling sensation, where their skin made contact almost like a mild electric current, but not unpleasant. The alien woman seemed to relax slightly, her breathing becoming more regular. She spoke again through the translator. "My name is Eliara. I am science officer aboard the research vessel, Luminous Horizon. We were studying stellar phenomena in this sector when we were attacked by whom?" Linda asked, keeping her voice calm as she continued to work on the legnomies of my kind. The translator struggled with the next word, approximating it as shadowers. They do not wish us to make contact with other species, especially ones with potential like yours. Linda raised an eyebrow at this. These shadowers, whoever they were, didn't sound like the neighborly type. And what did Eliara mean by potential? She wanted to ask more, but the alien was clearly exhausted from pain and trauma. The most important thing now is to get you stabilized, Linda said as she carefully splinted the alien leg. We can worry about the rest later. Eliara made a sound that the translator didn't catch, but Linda interpreted as agreement. The alien woman seemed to be studying her with those remarkable violet eyes, as if trying to understand something fundamental about Linda. Your species is not what we expected, Eliara said. Finally, there was a hint of wonder in her translated voice. Linda smiled as she secured the last bandage. What were you expecting? Beings of violence and chaos. The stories we have heard tell of humans who destroy all they touch, who conquer without thought, but you heal. Linda finished her work but maintained physical contact with Eliara as promised. Something told her that breaking that connection now would be a terrible mistake. Rest now, she said. We can talk more when you've recovered us. Eliara drifted into what Linda hoped was sleep. Linda activated her comlink with her free hand Samantha. She called to the station commander. You better get down here. We've got a situation. Linda's mind was racing with questions. Who exactly were these Vexari? Why were they being hunted by these shadowers, and what did they mean about human potential? But most importantly, how was she going to continue treating her patient while never letting go? Station Commander Samantha Kelly arrived at the medical bay within minutes, her eyes widening at the sight of the alien woman and Linda still maintaining physical contact. Explain, she said curtly. Linda gave her a quick summary of the situation, including the strange request not to let go, and what little she knew about the Vexari and their apparent enemies. You're telling me you're stuck holding hands with an alien refugee because of some cultural thing? Samantha asked, her voice a mixture of disbelief and concern. It's more than that. Linda replied, I think it's physiological. Somehow I can feel something happening where we touch, almost like an energy exchange. Samantha frowned. I don't like this. We know nothing about this species. What if this is some kind of trick? Linda shook her head. If Eliara wanted to harm us, she could have done it already. I think she's genuinely in need of help, and somehow this contact is important to her healing process. Samantha sighed heavily. Fine, but I want security posted outside, and I want hourly updates if anything changes. She turned to leave, then stopped at the door. And Linda, don't take any unnecessary risks. After the commander left, Linda settled in for what she expected would be a long night. She managed to pull a chair closer with her free hand and sat down next to Eliara's bed. The alien woman slept, or at least appeared to sleep, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Hours passed and Linda found herself fighting to stay awake. She hadn't expected to be on duty for so long without a break. Her muscles ached from maintaining the same position, but she was determined to keep her promise not to let go. Just as her eyelids began to droop, she felt a change in Eliara's skin. The blue surface seemed to glow faintly, pulsing with a soft light that spread from where Linda's hand touched her. Linda blinked, wondering if she was hallucinating from exhaustion, but the glow remained. Fascinating, isn't it? Came a voice from the doorway. Linda turned to see Olivia Wright, the station's xenobiologist, standing there with a scanner in hand. How long have you been there? Linda asked. Long enough to see that whatever is happening between you two is unlike anything in our records. Olivia approached cautiously. May I? Linda nodded, and Olivia began scanning the area where their skin made contact, her eyes widening as she read the results. There's a biomolecular exchange happening here, she said excitedly. Your cells and hers are communicating on a quantum level. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. But is it dangerous? Linda asked, suddenly concerned about what might be happening to her own body. Olivia shook her head. Actually, quite the opposite. Your cells appear to be stronger, more vibrant. And from what I can tell, so are hers. It's as if you're both benefiting from this connection. Before Linda could respond, Eliara opened her eyes, the violet orbs immediately focusing on Linda. Your kind is remarkable, she said through the translator. I did not expect the connection to form so quickly. What connection exactly? Linda asked. The healing bond, Eliara replied, among my people. It is rare even between Vexari to form such a connection. So easily it requires compatibility at the quantum level. What you might call a spiritual resonance. Olivia was practically bouncing with excitement. "This is groundbreaking," she exclaimed. "The implications for xenobiology are enormous." Eliara turned her gaze to Olivia. "The connection serves a purpose beyond scientific curiosity. It is how my people heal and how we share knowledge." "Share knowledge," Linda repeated. "Yes." Eliara said, "You have not noticed the images in your mind." Linda was about to deny it when she realized there had been strange flashes in her thoughts. Things she had attributed to her overtired brain, visions of a world with 3 moons, crystal cities floating among clouds, ships traveling through space, using technology beyond human understanding. "Those are yours," she whispered in awe. "And I have seen your world. Through your eyes," Eliara replied, "your oceans, your forests, your cities of steel and glass, different yet beautiful in their own way." Olivia looked between them. "This is beyond anything we've encountered in interspecies communication," she said. "We need to document this properly." Linda felt a wave of protectiveness. She could sense Eliara's discomfort at being treated like a research subject. "No," she said firmly. "Not now. Eliara needs rest. And frankly, so do." Olivia looked disappointed but nodded. "I understand. But this is important, Linda. The first peaceful contact with an advanced species who can share knowledge this directly." After Olivia left, Eliara spoke again. "Your friend sees only the scientific value of our connection, but there is more at stake." "What do you mean?" Linda asked. "The Shadowers hunt my kind because of this ability. They fear what would happen if we shared our knowledge too freely with other species, especially ones with your adaptability and creativity. They attacked your ship because of this." Eliara nodded. "They believe that certain knowledge should remain contained, that some species are not ready for advancement. My people disagree. We believe in the natural flow of knowledge across the universe." Linda considered this. "So they attacked you to prevent you from making contact with humans." "Not just humans," Eliara corrected, "with several species in this sector. But humans concern them most. Your kind learns quickly, adapts faster than most, the Shadowers believe. This makes you dangerous." Linda felt a chill at these words. They sound like the type who shoot first and ask questions later. "Apt description," Eliara agreed. "And now that I have made contact with you, they will be coming here." Linda asked, alarmed. "If they tracked my escape pod?" "Yes." She confirmed, "My presence here endangers your station." Linda thought quickly. "We need to tell the commander. Prepare defenses." Eliara reached out with her free hand, placing it on Linda's arm. "There is another option, one that my people have used in times of great danger." Linda waited for her to continue. "If we deepen our connection, I can share knowledge that would help you defend against their technology, knowledge that would take your scientists decades to develop." "Otherwise, how do we deepen it?" Linda asked. "Through continued contact and shared intent," Eliara explained. "It requires trust, complete and absolute. There can be no barriers between our minds." Linda hesitated. This went far beyond medical treatment or even first contact protocol. This was something much more intimate, much more profound. Eliara sensed her hesitation. "It is your choice," she said softly. "I would not ask if there were another way, but the Shadowers are relentless, and they will not stop until they have eliminated all trace of my presence here, including those I have touched, including me." Linda realized with a start. "Yes," Eliara confirmed sadly. "They cannot allow the knowledge transfer to continue." Linda took a deep breath and made her decision. "What do we need to do?" Eliara guided Linda through the process. "First, we must align our thoughts," she instructed. "Focus on my voice and clear your mind of distractions." Linda took several deep breaths, trying to quiet the swirl of questions and concerns that filled her head. It wasn't easy, especially with the looming threat of alien attackers. But gradually she felt her thoughts settling like sediment in still water. "Good," Eliara said. "Now think of a memory, something meaningful to you, something that defines who you are." Linda considered for a moment, then settled on a memory from her childhood. The first time she had helped an injured animal, a small bird with a broken wing. her careful bandaging her patient, watching over it until it healed, her joy when it finally flew away. That moment had set her on the path to becoming a healer. She felt a strange sensation, as if the memory was being gently lifted from her mind, examined, and then returned with a new dimension. Added to it, she could suddenly feel Eliara's reaction to the memory, the alien's admiration and understanding. "I see your compassion." Eliara's voice seemed to come from both the translator and directly into Linda's mind. "It is a beautiful quality, one my people value highly." "Now it is my turn," Eliara continued, and Linda found herself experiencing a memory not her own. She was on a world with purple skies, standing in a forest of crystalline trees that chimed softly in the wind. She was younger somehow and reaching out to touch a wounded creature that resembled a cross between a deer and a dragonfly. She felt the same compassion, the same desire to heal that had driven her own childhood self. "Or paths are not so different," Eliara observed. The exchange continued, memories flowing back and forth, forming bridges between their minds. Linda shared her years of medical training, her first days on the space station, her hopes for peaceful contact with other species. Eliara shared her scientific discoveries, her travels across the stars, her people's philosophy of knowledge as a living force that should flow freely between all sentient beings. Gradually, Linda began to understand the Vexari worldview. They were explorers and scholars who believed that the universe itself was conscious in some way, and that all knowledge was already present in this cosmic consciousness, accessible to those who knew how to listen. They saw themselves not as creators of knowledge, but as conduits, channeling what already existed into forms that could be shared and used. The Shadowers, in contrast, believed that knowledge was power that should be carefully controlled. They feared that unrestrained sharing of advanced concepts would lead to chaos, as less developed species acquired abilities they were not ethically prepared to handle. They saw themselves as guardians preventing cosmic catastrophe. "I see why they conflict," Linda thought and felt Eliara's acknowledgement. "It is an ancient disagreement." She confirmed one that has shaped the development of many worlds. As their minds continued to intertwine, Linda began to receive more practical knowledge, understanding of Shadower technology, their weapons, their detection systems, their weaknesses. Images appeared in her mind of ship designs, shield configurations, energy signatures, all flowing too quickly to fully comprehend, yet somehow being stored in her memory. For later recalls, simultaneously she could feel her own knowledge transferring to Eliara: human medicine, social structures, art, literature, music. The full spectrum of human experience filtered through Linda's personal perspective. The process was exhausting yet exhilarating. Linda lost track of time as the exchange deepened, growing more complex with each passing moment. She began to understand things that had always seemed beyond human comprehension: the nature of space-time, the quantum foundations of consciousness, the interconnectedness of all living things. She was dimly aware of activity around them. Medical staff coming and going. Commander, Samantha checking in, Olivia taking readings, but it all seemed distant, unimportant, compared to the universe that was unfolding in the shared space between their minds. Finally, after what might have been hours or days, Eliara began to withdraw gently, pulling back from the deepest levels of connection. "Enough," she said softly. "We must not go further, or the bond will become permanent." Linda felt a momentary sadness at this separation, followed by overwhelming fatigue, her body reminding her that she was still physical, still human, with all the limitations that entailed. "We have done what was needed," Eliara assured her. "You now carry what your people require to defend against the Shadowers." Linda blinked, trying to focus on the physical world again. The medical bay seemed strange now, almost artificial compared to the vast mental landscape she had been exploring. "How do I access this knowledge?" she asked, her voice rough from disuse. "It will come when needed." Eliara explained the information is stored in your neural patterns. It will surface when the appropriate triggers appear. Linda noticed that Eliara's leg, the original reason for their contact, looked significantly improved. The alien bone seemed to have knitted itself back together far faster than any human healing process. "Your leg," she said in surprise. "Yes, the healing bond works both ways." Eliara confirmed the energy exchange accelerates physical repair as well as facilitating knowledge transfer. I am nearly healed thanks to your willingness to maintain contact. A sudden alarm blared throughout the station, breaking the moment Commander Samantha's voice came over the intercom. All personnel to battle stations, unidentified vessels approaching defensive pattern. Alpha, repeat all. Personnel to battle stations, they have found us. Eliara said, her voice calm, despite the dire implications. Linda felt fear rise within her, but it was tempered by a strange new confidence. She somehow knew that they had a fighting chance thanks to what she had received from Eliara. Need to get this information to the commander. She said, we need to prepare the station's defenses based on what you showed me. Eliara nodded. It is time, she agreed. Then, looking down at their still joined hands, she asked with a hint of uncertainty, may I let go? Now Linda smiled, realizing that in their role reversal, Eliara was now honoring the same promise Linda had made to her. Yes, she said, we can let go of hands, but not of what we've shared. Their fingers separated. Slowly, almost reluctantly, the glowing connection between them fading but not disappearing entirely. Linda could still feel a faint link between them, like a thread of light stretching from mind to mind. She stood testing her balance after sitting for so long, surprised to find that despite her physical exhaustion, she felt mentally sharper than ever before, clarity and purpose filling her thoughts. I need to see the commander right away, she told Eliara. Can you walk? The alien woman rose gracefully. From the bed, her movements fluid despite her recently healed injury. I can, she confirmed as they left the medical bay together. Linda couldn't help but feel that something momentous had begun, something that would change not just her life or even the fate of the station, but perhaps the future of humanity itself. The Shadowers were coming. But thanks to Eliara, humanity would not be facing them unprepared or alone. Commander Samantha Kelly was coordinating defense preparations when Linda and Eliara arrived at the command center. The large view screen showed 3 ominous vessels approaching, their sleek black hulls, absorbing rather than reflecting light, making them appear as moving voids against the starfield. Linda, I don't have time right now, Samantha began, but stopped when she noticed the change in Linda's demeanor and the fact that her alien patient was now standing beside her, apparently healed. What is this? They are Shadower vessels, Linda said, pointing to the screen. They will be in weapons range in approximately 20 minutes. Their primary weapons are phase disruptors that can penetrate our standard shields. But if we modulate our shield harmonics to a rotating frequency of 0.37 intervals, we can deflect most of their energy. Samantha stared at her. How do you know this? Linda glanced at Eliara. Eliara shared her knowledge with me through our connection. It's complicated, but I now have tactical information that can help us survive this encounter. The commander looked skeptical, but the approaching threat left little room for lengthy explanations. What else do you know? Linda found herself speaking with authority. She didn't know she possessed. They will attempt to disable rather than destroy the station. They want to capture Eliara and eliminate anyone who has had contact with her, specifically me. Their sensors can detect the quantum signature of knowledge transfer, but they have a blind spot in their aft sensor array. If we can position a shuttle behind them. Samantha held up a hand. Slow down. This is a lot to process. You expect me to base our entire defense strategy on information you got from some kind of alien mind meld? Eliara stepped forward. Commander Kelly, my people have encountered the Shadowers many times. What Linda tells you is accurate. They are determined but not invincible, and they follow predictable tactical patterns. The tactical officer, a woman named Bethany, interrupted. Commander, the lead vessel is hailing us. Put them through, Samantha ordered. The view screen shifted to show a humanoid figure with gray skin and eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The effect was unsettling, as if looking into miniature black hole. Station commander. The figure spoke in a flat, emotionless voice. You are harboring a fugitive of the collective surrender, the Vexari and all humans who have had extended contact with it for proper processing. We have no interest in your facility or other personnel. Samantha glanced at Linda and Eliara before responding. This is Commander Kelly of Helios Station. The individual you refer to came to us injured, requesting medical assistance, which we provided as we would for any sentient being in need. We have no intention of surrendering anyone under our protection. The Shadower remained expressionless. Your species is new to interstellar affairs. You do not understand the dangers involved. The Vexari contaminate other species with knowledge they are not prepared to handle. This leads inevitably to chaos and destruction. We contain this threat for the good of all. Linda felt a surge of anger at the condescending tone. You mean you hoard knowledge and decide who is worthy of advancement? She said, stepping forward, the Shadower's eyes fixed on her. You have been contaminated. As we suspected, the process has already begun. You cannot be permitted to retain what you have learned, or to share it with others of your kind. I believe that's for us to decide, Samantha said firmly. Cutting the transmission, she turned to her crew battle stations. Everyone, this is not a drill. Bethany implement shield modifications based on Linda's specifications. All non-essential personnel to secure locations as the crew rushed to their positions. Linda felt a flood of information rising to the surface of her mind. She moved to the tactical station, her fingers flying over the controls, with a certainty that came from somewhere beyond her own experience. There she said, adjusting the final parameter. Our shields should now be resistant to their primary weapons, but they have secondary systems that can still hurt us. We need to prepare countermeasures. Eliara joined her at the console, working alongside her in perfect synchronization, as if they had trained together for years. Linda realized their minds were still partially linked, the knowledge transfer continuing on a subconscious level, even without physical contact. Commander Kelly watched them with a mixture of amazement and concern. I hope you know what you're doing, she said. The first attack came exactly as Linda had predicted. The Shadower vessels firing their phase disruptors in a coordinated pattern designed to collapse the station's shields, but the modified shields held, absorbing and deflecting the energy. It worked. Bethany reported shields at 87% and holding, but the Shadowers adapted quickly, changing their attack pattern. Linda felt, rather than saw what they were planning next, they're going to target our power core. She warned. Sure enough, the enemy vessels repositioned, focusing their fire on a seemingly random section of the station where Linda knew the main power. Conduits ran redirect auxiliary power to Section 4 Delta. Linda instructed, and prepare to vent plasma from Junction 6 when I give the word. The crew followed her instructions without question, now recognizing that whatever was happening with Linda and Eliara was giving them an edge they desperately needed. The battle continued for hours, a deadly dance of attack and counterattack. Linda and Eliara anticipated each Shadower move, implementing countermeasures before the enemy could press their advantage, but the station was taking damage despite their best efforts. Systems were failing. Power reserves dropping. The Shadowers were relentless, probing for weaknesses, testing defenses. We can't keep this up indefinitely, Linda told Samantha. We need to find a way to drive them off permanently. Eliara, who had been quiet for some time, spoke up. There is a way, but it requires great risk. All three Shadower vessels suddenly ceased fire, pulling back to regroup. They are preparing for their final assault, Eliara explained. They will concentrate all firepower on your command center. They believe if they can capture or eliminate us, the rest of the station will surrender. What is your plan? Samantha asked. The quantum resonance drive, Eliara said. Linda knows what I mean. Linda nodded, the knowledge surfacing as needed. The station's normal propulsion system could be modified to create a quantum pulse that would disrupt the Shadower sensor systems and communications, temporarily blinding them, but it would require someone to manually adjust the drive while it's in operation. Linda added someone with knowledge of both human and Vexari technology, which means you. Samantha realized. Linda nodded again. There is no one else who would understand what needs to be done. It's too dangerous, the commander protested. The drive chamber would be flooded with radiation. You wouldn't survive. There's no other way, Linda said simply. If we do nothing, we all die. Or worse, they capture Eliara and me, and extract everything we know, potentially endangering Earth and other human colonies. Samantha looked between them, then at the view screen where the Shadower vessels were moving into their final attack position. How long would it take? 15 minutes to make the modifications. Linda estimated 5 minutes to implement, 2 minutes for the pulse to disable their ships. And how long would we have before they recover? Approximately 30 minutes. Eliara answered, enough time to escape this sector. Samantha made her decision. Do it, she ordered. He'll have a shuttle prepared for evacuation. As Linda and Eliara hurried toward the engineering section, Linda felt a strange calm despite knowing what lay ahead. This was her purpose now, protecting not just the station but potentially her entire species from a threat they had never known existed. She glanced at Eliara walking beside her. No regrets, she said. The alien woman met her gaze with those remarkable violet eyes. In my culture, she replied, there is a saying, when knowledge flows freely, the universe itself rejoices. Linda smiled, taking comfort in the alien wisdom as they prepared to make their final stand against the darkness. The engineering section was chaos as crew members rushed to implement emergency protocols and prepare for possible evacuation. Linda and Eliara moved against the flow of traffic, heading toward the quantum drive chamber. Chief Engineer Valerie Harris intercepted them. You're not authorized to be here, she began, but Linda cut her off. Commander's orders, we need to modify the quantum drive to emit a resonance pulse, Valerie. We don't have much time. The chief engineer looked skeptical, but a direct call from Commander Samantha confirmed the orders reluctantly. She provided them with access codes to the drive chamber and the necessary tools. This is going to kill you, she said bluntly. Once the modifications begin, radiation levels will rise beyond survivable limits. I know, Linda replied simply. Valerie shook her head in disbelief but didn't try to stop them further. Good luck, she said, before returning to her evacuation duties. Inside the drive chamber, Linda and Eliara worked with practiced efficiency. Their movements synchronized, their minds operating in perfect harmony. Linda found herself understanding complex Vexari engineering principles as if she had studied them for years, while Eliara seemed equally comfortable with human technology as they worked. Linda asked a question that had been bothering her. Why did you really come to this sector? Was it just to study stellar phenomena, or was there another reason? Eliara paused in her adjustments. My people have been watching humans for some time, she admitted. We recognize potential in your species, a unique combination of creativity, adaptability, and compassion that is rare in the galaxy. And you wanted to make contact? Not yet, Eliara said. We were still observing, waiting for the right moment. But the Shadowers discovered our presence. They have been watching you too for different reasons, because they fear what we might become with access to advanced knowledge. Eliara nodded. They believe your species would use such knowledge destructively. Because of your history of conflict, they see only your capacity for violence, not your capacity for growth. Linda continued working as she processed this information, removing a panel to access the drives. Quantum matrix, my escape pod. Finding your station. That wasn't an accident, was it? No, Eliara admitted. When our ship was attacked, I was instructed to seek human contact to begin the knowledge transfer earlier than planned. My superiors believed that with the Shadowers now aware of our interest in humanity, there was no reason to delay the inevitable confrontation. Linda looked up from her work. So I'm part of some interstellar politics beyond my understanding. Eliara placed her hand gently on Linda's arm. You are much more than that. The bond we formed is extremely rare even among my own kind. The compatibility between our minds suggests something significant, a bridge between our species that could benefit both. A warning light began flashing as the drive's radiation levels started to rise. They had less time than they thought, Linda realized. We need to hurry, she said, focusing on the final modifications. As they worked, the station's comm system crackled to life. Commander Samantha's voice urgent and strained. The Shadowers have begun their final attack. All personnel evacuate immediately. Repeat. All personnel evacuate. Linda and Eliara exchanged glances. They could feel the station shuddering under the renewed assault. Almost done, Linda said, making the final connections. Just 3 more minutes. The radiation warning escalated from yellow to red. The chamber's automated systems beginning a countdown to automatic lockdown. 2 minutes to chamber seal, the computer announced, working faster. Now, Linda felt the first symptoms of radiation. Exposure, a metallic taste in her mouth, dizziness, nausea, but she pushed through, focusing on the task at hand. Eliara, too, was showing signs of distress. Her blue skin taking on a grayish tinge, her movements becoming less fluid. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated as another hit rocked the structure. Linda stumbled, but Eliara caught her. Their hands connecting, the familiar glow appeared where their skin touched, but fainter now. Both of them too weakened by radiation to maintain the full connection. "Don't let go, Linda," whispered, echoing Eliara's earlier words. 1 minute to chamber seal, the computer warned, with a final effort. Linda connected the last circuit, the quantum drive humming with new energy, as the modifications took effect. "Need to activate it manually now?" Linda said, her voice weak. "The automated systems won't recognize the modified parameters." Eliara nodded, supporting Linda as they moved to the control panel together. Their hands trembling as they input the final commands, the drive began to pulse with brilliant light energy, building toward the critical moment that would release the quantum wave. 30 seconds to chamber seal. Linda felt her consciousness beginning to fade, the radiation taking its toll. But she fought to stay alert for just a few moments longer. "We did it," she whispered as the quantum drive reached maximum capacity. Eliara tightened her grip on Linda's hand as the chamber filled with blinding light. "I will not let go," she promised. The quantum pulse exploded outward from the station in a wave of pure energy, passing through solid matter, affecting only the specific frequency of shadow or technology. Just as they had planned, through the viewports they could see the enemy ships, suddenly drifting, their lights flickering and dying as their systems failed. "It worked," Linda said, her voice barely audible now. She slumped against Eliara, no longer able to stand. The chamber door sealed with a final hiss, locking them inside together as the radiation reached lethal levels. Linda found herself strangely at peace despite knowing these were her final moments. She had saved the station, saved her friends, perhaps even helped save humanity from a threat they hadn't known existed. Eliara gently lowered her to the floor, cradling Linda's head in her lap. Their hands still connected, the faint glow persisting between them. "May people have a belief," Eliara said softly, "that consciousness does not end with physical death, that the knowledge and experiences we gather continue in the cosmic consciousness, returning to the source from which all understanding flows." Linda managed a smile. "Sounds nice," she whispered. The chamber grew quiet, save for the hum of the drive and their increasingly labored breathing. Linda felt her awareness expanding beyond the confines of her failing body. She could sense Eliara's consciousness intertwined with her own, both of them beginning to merge with something larger, something vast and ancient that stretched across the stars. The universe itself seemed to open before them, revealing patterns of energy and information that had always existed beyond normal perception. The true nature of reality unfolding in ways that transcended ordinary understanding. "Is this dying?" Linda wondered. Or is this what Eliara meant about returning to the source? The distinction seemed less important now as they drifted together through this new realm of existence, still connected, still sharing knowledge, but on a level that went beyond physical, contact beyond words, beyond thought itself. Later, much later, the rescue team would find them, their bodies still and peaceful hands clasped together in death, but with expressions of profound wonder on their faces. They would not understand the significance of what had happened here, how a simple act of compassion, a human doctor setting an alien's broken leg, had changed the course of galactic history. They would not know that somewhere beyond physical existence, two consciousness still traveled together, sharing discoveries across the cosmos, while the knowledge they had sacrificed themselves to protect spread among humanity, preparing them for their place among the stars. And they could not possibly imagine that years later, when humans finally developed their own version of quantum resonance technology, they would name it the Morgan Eliara Drive in honor of two beings from different worlds who had shown that the greatest power in the universe was not the hoarding of knowledge, but its sharing. Commander Samantha stood at the memorial dedication, watching as the plaque was unveiled, bearing the simple inscription, "They never let go," as humanity took its first steps into the wider galactic community, guided by the knowledge that Linda and Eliara had sacrificed themselves to preserve. Samantha thought she could almost hear Linda's voice whispering across the stars. Sometimes the smallest actions have the greatest consequences. Sometimes a hand held out in healing can save not just one life, but countless worlds. Sometimes to move forward, we must simply refuse to let go.